Ladies and gentlemen, I am very honored to have with me today the legendary Jesús Rodríguez, famously known as Ricardo Rodriguez. I don't think I have to introduce you, to be honest, and you're very famous for your introductions in wrestling and announcing. So, how are you, sir, today?
I'm doing great. But since we're doing something special here, why don't I give you the honors of trying to mimic, to imitate a little introduction? That's just for my amusement and for everybody that's gonna be watching this. So give it a try. Give it a Ricardo type of feel.
I don't think I have the vocals, your vocals.
Give it a shot
I have a
for
very bassy voice.
Damas y caballeros, directo desde Cairo, Egipto, yo soy Ricardo Rodriguez.
Welcome. Before we start, you celebrated your birthday last week in Egypt. How was it? And the pyramids do put life into perspective, right?
They do. It was very amazing. I didn't do anything for the actual day of my birthday, but we got to celebrate the day before because we didn't have training on that Wednesday on the 17th. So the guy surprised me on the 16th. So we kind of skipped training and we had a little celebration here at the house. So that was kind of cool. That was very, very nice. Especially considering that like for the last almost 10 years, I've always been somewhere for my birthday. So I haven't really celebrated in many years. So that was a very nice touch.
Yeah, it's great. So happy belated birthday. And
So
let's get into business. You're in Egypt right now. You've been there for months now. What are you doing in Egypt? And what got you to Egypt in the first place? So tell us what you're doing in Egypt right now, because from what I see, it's amazing work, and I can't wait to see the end result of what you're doing over there.
so it all kind of stems back to about 5 years ago. 5 years ago, I was asked to go to India to start basically a training system in India since pro wrestling didn't really exist. WWE had not been in India in 14 years prior,
Yeah.
and because of the Great Khali, who has a big name in throughout all of India, and then that's something I can get into later on, how big of a name and a star he is. And also, India is such a big country with such a big market that they wanted wrestling. So I went. I spent 6 months in India, and then I was able to create something there. I opened up the pro wrestling market in India, and we were able to do three successful shows immediately after, right before I left. And because of that success that occurred there, WWE Impact, they all went after India as soon as I was done. So I'm proud to say that that's something that I opened up. I opened up the market, granted with Kali's money, but I I
You
I,
had your
I
hand
was
in
a
it.
yeah, that's India's my baby.
Yeah.
And I'm very thankful for all the trainers that went after I did, because they were just as much a part of it as I was. And then guys like Daryl Sharma, who's a ref in NXT at the moment, Ethan HD, Xavier Justice, Facade, all these guys from the US that went after I did, that put their as you know, and like in the story of Moana, they put your little rock on top of the other rock of your predecessors. So we all built that. So fast forward 5 years later, I got contacted by a man here in Cairo named Mohammed Mustafa and Walid Fateh, and they wanted to do something similar here. So they wanted me to come out here and train the guys properly, and with the same hope that we can build something similar to what we did in India. And that's currently what I'm doing here. I was only supposed to be here for a month, but now I'm 3 months. I'm 3 months here, and we have big stuff planned. We have two big events coming at the beginning of April that we're working on, that we've been working on since we got here, and now that we're a month away from it, basically a month. I'm excited for all the promotional stuff that's about to come out, because it's going to come out within the next week. Finally, thankfully. And I'm very, very proud of what we're doing here, because the Arabic market is such a big untapped market, and
You
it's
have
massive.
no idea.
It's a
You have no
huge
idea
market.
how many times I've tried to push, like I've talked to, you know, people with money, investors, and these things about this, they just do not get the picture. To be honest, like I've been pushing this since forever in the region, not just in Bahrain. I mean,
Yeah, so I'm excited for what we have, and there's a lot riding on this project that we have here with pro wrestling organization here in Cairo, and it also helps that Cairo is basically the central, the epicenter of all the Arabic media, so it definitely helps.
you just said my ending speech at the end. Like I was gonna tell you, the effects of what you're gonna do will echo for years over here in the region, not just in Cairo. Because like you said, like you mentioned, Egypt has always been not just the media center, the culture center of the Arab world and the Middle East. So
Yeah.
anything that gets popularized in Egypt spreads like wildfire to the rest of the countries over here. And like after you're gonna leave, and it's gonna be months or years, your students will start traveling, will start training other people in the region. Like
Yes.
anything, if there is a boom in the next, let's say, year of wrestling in Egypt, it's gonna spread like wildfire in the Middle East.
Yeah, so that's what I'm excited about. That's what I'm really looking forward to because I mean, and then I am using a very similar formula to what I did in India, and those guys now. I mean, eventually 5 years later, meant several of them. Some of them went off and created their own promotions. They're training their own guys. Some of them got signed to WWE, which we just saw at the event that they held, which was held watched by what, like 20 million people.
Shanki, the guy with the most views, the
Yeah.
video he has on the motorcycle going around India
Yeah,
fighting
he's one of
policemen.
mine. Yeah, he's one of my kids. So
Yeah,
like I feel like a proud dad, and to be able to do that here and to see how the guys here and because we have one girl here, Elham Binu, she's gonna be something spectacular once she's ready and we go on and do these shows, and then they branch out and then they become their own person. So right now I'm just molding them, and then eventually they're gonna become their own person, which I'm very excited about to see them progress week after week after week after week after each one training session to see them improve. So I'm very proud of what we're doing here. I'm very proud of what's going to happen, and I know it's going to be something big that's going to transcend to like we said all the Arabic nations around here.
that's the thing. The minute I heard Ricardo Rodriguez is training in Egypt, I'm like, it's on. It's gonna spread. And
It has to. It
I
has to. It's
liked a
going to.
lot of things you said. You used words like this project is my baby, and you started it, and it's gonna spread. Trust me. From what I've seen
Yeah,
and
yeah.
from history, it's gonna spread. So, one question I have for you regarding your training,
Mhm.
when you first got there, and when you sat with the students before you even got in the ring with them, did you ask them to watch a certain match or a certain wrestler or a certain style of wrestling to study before they even get into the ring and train?
No, not quite. Basically, what and then this is something that naturally where else that you go, because these guys have never been exposed to like the secrets of the magic tricks. They see things
Oh,
from they see that perspective, and they don't realize all the little detail and all the work that goes into what we do, which is it's a big magic trick, but it's a big art form.
well, so
There's
they've never
art to
been behind the
it.
curtain.
Right. They don't know the production side. So like breaking, yeah, I break their spirits a little bit. Uh, but they learn to appreciate it a lot more of how much work it goes into this. There's another company that out here in Egypt, EWR or something, and I was watching some of their stuff, and I was like, man, that's so horrible. And I don't blame the guys. I mean, they don't know any better.
Yeah,
They've never been trained properly, and then the guy that's running it is basically just taking their money.
yeah. The foundation
Um,
is not there in the whole region.
no, no,
I can
no,
speak.
no. So I don't blame the guys. I don't blame the guys. They've never been trained. So that's what I'm hoping to bring here. That they have an option to come here and train properly. And I'm hoping that eventually, once these guys are ready, because there's guys that come in, and I do this a lot. Sorry, I start with one story and then I jump to something else, but eventually I connect them.
This is the
So they have
whole
connection.
purpose of my show, this
Yes,
podcast,
so
to be
they
honest.
have a connection. They
Yeah.
connect. So what I'm hoping is that once these guys are ready, and because I already have two or three that are very exceptional and they're amazing and they learn quick. Um, that once they go out back to their home cities, because there's guys that come in from Alexandria, there's guys that come in from far away. They come from far away, 3-4 times a week, and then they go home. So
Dedication.
they're dedicated. So once they go, eventually they open up something in Alexandria, they open up something, down south or some other city. But at least I will be okay knowing that they were trained properly. Um, and of course, I mean, there's gonna be things that as time goes on, wrestling evolves and things will change. But at least they'll have their foundation, because the foundation, the basics never change. So that's what I'm hoping for here. And with the show happening, it's gonna create a lot more eyes for people here. Because when I first got the email about this, the message, I was like, I was skeptical. I wasn't sure, because I was like, there's nothing there. I wasn't sure what to expect. So when I got here, I had to tell them, hey, you have to separate yourself from being a fan to learning the arts, learning the how to do this. You have to separate yourself, because the number one thing everybody always does is when they come in like brand new, they want to do like 450s, they want to do like stunners, they want to do like, no, hold on. You got to learn how to fall, you got to learn how to roll, you got to learn how to lock up. That's first, and then eventually you build to these moves. You can't just go from that to that, and then because it even happens in the US. These guys come in and they're athletic and they can do all these acrobatic stuff, but they don't know how to wrestle, and it happens still in the US. So that's what I'm hoping for these guys, to be trained properly, so that eventually, because it will happen, WWE will come here eventually. They're gonna come after what we're doing. They did it to me in India. I mean, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It gave guys opportunities. Yeah. Like I said, some of the guys are already hired by WWE. Some of the guys were approached for NXT UK. So it's great, and it's fun. Some of the guys got to work for Impact. So I'm happy to be able to help these guys who otherwise never would have had the opportunity to become pro wrestlers. And then if they have the chance, if WWE or Impact or even AEW now come in and say, hey, there is the whole market out there, let's go after it, then they're going to come after my guys, because they know that I trained them. Because I already have one big successful story in India. So they're going to come after this. And I'm okay with that, with them taking the guys that I trained and putting them on TV eventually.
Yeah, it's name recognition at the end. And like I always say, that wrestling is this, I don't want to say weird, but it's a unique like sport or aspect of life that it has to be passed down. It's kind of traditional. Someone has to train you that did it. Like, I could watch a million videos and do a few moves. I can do that easily. But someone has, like you said, you're harsh to your students because they need that tough love, when you train for these things, because they have to take it seriously, I guess.
Yeah, no, they do. And then, but that's eventually they learn to appreciate it a lot more, which is something that the average fan will never understand.
Yeah.
Unless they've been in the ring, they take the bumps, they take the hits, they get bruised, they get hurt. And then if they come back, they'll learn to appreciate what we're doing. So that's what I'm trying to build here. But that's where I'm at. I'm here 3 months already, and I'm excited for the next month that we have coming up, because this is crunch time. And like I said, we have 2 big shows coming up, and I'm excited for all the stuff to come out, all the promotional stuff, which hopefully within the next week.
Yeah, so that's a great advice for anyone who wants to be a wrestler in the region. Stop being a fan and be an artist. Like, this is an art form. This is one of the most unique art forms in the world right now, I feel.
Yeah. And I mean, you can still be a fan. You can still be a fan, but you have to learn the separation.
You need to have that switch.
Yeah. Yes, definitely.
Okay, so
and another thing too for me, a very very big important part for me was when I left India, and how many people eventually found out that there was an Indian market, and how now there is a big Indian flag in the wrestling world. That's what I want to build here. I want to build these guys, because, like, I'll put it this way. And I knew, like, for instance, like Mohammed Salah, I knew he was a big thing for the Arabic countries because he's Muslim, and but I didn't realize how big until I got here to Cairo, because his picture's everywhere. When Big Ramy won the Mr. Olympia, his picture was everywhere here because he's Egyptian. So one thing that I want to build for these guys too is for them to for the Egyptian people here to have a sense of pride of like, yeah, that's one of our guys, that's our guys. And then if they eventually go to the US, if they go to WWE, if they go to Impact, if they go to AEW, that big Egyptian flag can be planted on the world of wrestling. And then eventually, like I said, if we build onto other countries here within this area,
They don't need to
then
go
why
to
not?
WWE. They can have a
Right.
base
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So you talked about the shows you're gonna have. Tell us more about the shows, the dates if you can, and if, like, I really hope I could travel to Egypt at that time because traveling, the laws change every day. So I'm hoping by
Yeah.
then I could
Yeah.
travel.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
unfortunately, because of COVID, all the restrictions
yeah,
and stuff.
it's not
But
much the
the things that
restrictions. It's like they change every day. So
they do.
yeah.
The thing the little bit of info that I can share is that it's going to be on April 3rd and April 5th
Mhm.
in Luxor, Egypt. So that's going to be a pretty cool little events that we have. We have many different people from different countries, from Mexico, from the UK, hopefully, from the US are going to be coming in, and they're going to be mixing it up with some of the guys here. Big names too, former WWE guys, WWE Hall of Famers, guys that you can see in AEW, guys you can see over the independents throughout the US, throughout the UK. Well, the UK is depending on COVID. Hopefully, they open up soon.
Hopefully, fingers
But
crossed.
yeah, so we have a lot of international guys coming in, which I mean, for them is a dream come true. Even for me, coming here was a dream come true. Because I never thought of myself of like a little kid from like the slums or the barrio, the crappier parts of Los Angeles, to be able to travel across the world to Egypt. And then not only that, but to do something that I love, to teach wrestling. So it's just a dream come true that we're all very invested in, and we want to put in the effort and we want to work hard to make this something successful.
And you're building the foundation for the wrestling pyramid in the Arabic world. I'm telling
That's
you
what we're
this right
doing.
now. And will it be broadcasted online or available on any
That's what
site?
we're working on at the moment. We're currently working with Fight TV, which is obviously a major streaming service. So they stream. I know they've streamed a lot of like UFC. They've streamed a lot of like major pay-per-views throughout in the US.
Yeah.
So we're working with Fight TV at the moment. We're trying to finalize everything with them, and hopefully, everything willing, they will be able to. If you're not able to come, you can stream it on
Okay.
Fight TV.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm sure if they don't stream
but
it,
it'd be better if you guys come.
yeah,
It would be better if you guys come.
yeah, definitely. So I've been watching you on social media, and it seems like you're really enjoying your time in Egypt just as much as you're enjoying training the students. So what have you been doing in Egypt, and do you have anything left to do or places to visit on your list?
Yeah. I mean, I've only been here in Cairo. I haven't really gone out of the city. I would love to visit Sharm el Sheikh. I'd love to visit Alexandria. I'd love to visit the Suez Canal. There's a city called Dahab that I saw pictures that I want to see. Obviously, Luxor and Aswan. So there's all these other different places around here that I'd love to see. And but I mean, for the most part, I've just been exploring because Cairo is a big city. So I've been exploring little pieces on my days off, which they're not a lot. I'll have maybe like one day off, like today, for instance. And today, my adventure was going to the embassy to renew my visa. So, so that was my adventure today on my day off.
That's
Um,
great.
so that was fun. But yeah, no, there's plenty more that I would love to see out here in Egypt.
Hopefully you get to do that and visit all the places you mentioned and more, hopefully, and see more of Egypt. So Egypt is well known for its cuisines. What's the favorite thing you've ever eaten yet to this point?
Oh man, so I think the one that I loved, but it's heavy, is called mashi.
Mashi? Yeah.
Like I loved it. Yeah, mashi. I love that. There's a lot of little pastries that I like that they keep giving me. Like one's called Zalavia. Like I like that. Kanafa, but I think
Oh,
that's like Syrian. I think.
kunafa is like, yeah, from the Levant,
I know that.
Palestinian, and
Yeah, yeah. That's what it was. Yeah, yeah. But like kanafa, like I love that. I feel my heart slow down from all the sugar, but it's worth it. But like the pastries, man, are so delicious, and they give me so much different types of food that I forget what each thing is called. They gave me this. It's like a green soup, it has some long
ملوخية.
name, but it's
ملوخية.
really good. I think yeah, that sounds about right. That's really good too. So I had that, and then like I had something yesterday called sharma, which it tasted good. It's like this little bread thing. It's kind of like the same kind of bread that you eat from like a croissant. Some of the similar bread. But anyway, so there's a whole bunch of different stuff. I just if you put it in front of me, I can recognize it, but I
Yeah,
can't tell you what the names are because I mix them up all the time.
it's all right. And so many varieties of breads, right?
Yeah, yeah. That's another thing that like yesterday today I went to the market and then I asked I was like hey I need to get some bread, so they took me to their kind of bread here, the flat one. I
Yeah.
was like no, and then I pointed to like my loaf of bread. They're like no, that's toast. I was like bread, that's still bread. Like, whatever. So it's different things of language, but yeah, no, yeah. There's so many different types of bread here.
Speaking of language, have you learned any words in Arabic?
Man, so that's another story.
I'm
Before I
asking
came
because I want to
here,
see if you can cut a promo in
because I found
Egyptian.
out a month. I can't. I can't. I can tell you words. I can tell you words, but I can't tell you a sentence. I can understand. I started to understand. I can understand words and I can put them together and guess what somebody's saying. Um, but when I before I came here a month prior, I started to try and teach myself some basic Arabic. Apparently, the Arabic that I was learning was like proper royal Arabic or something that
Formal,
nobody
yeah.
speaks here.
I don't speak that.
Yeah, formal. So like I mean, the one of the first things when I came here, I was like, because I learned mahaban, mahaban. So they're like hello, and then they're like, no, we don't say that. They say like salama and
Salam alaikum.
shoot, yeah, that.
Yeah.
And then so I was like, okay, so what about this? They're like, no, we don't say that. We say this. I was like, okay. So I just threw everything out the window.
Yeah, and by the way, the Egyptian dialect is completely different. It's on a whole level
Yeah,
planet of its own. So, like, if you learn how to speak Egyptian and then come here and talk to me, I might not know a few words from what you're saying.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean it's the same in the U.S. It's the same in with English or Spanish. It's the same. You know, every region has their language, their form of talking the same language.
yeah.
Um,
And
but no, like I mean, mostly, like I learned my water Maya and Meshi and Shukran, simple stuff.
yeah,
But I can't do Chromo, not yet.
yeah. Hopefully
Obviously,
soon.
I learned the bad words first because that's
Of
important to
course,
me.
of course.
Learning the bad words.
Yeah,
Anywhere I go, I try to learn the bad words first.
it's always like that. But shukran is universal. Shukran will work anywhere in the region. So thank you. That's at
Yeah,
least good.
yeah,
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 that's great. That's great. So you've
yeah.
mentioned
And then some of like the pronunciations. Go
even in
ahead.
Egypt, like between
No,
themselves.
just I'm saying, just some of the pronunciations. Like you can't say it. I can't say certain things like because we don't know them in the U.S. Like I mixed like for instance, there's like it could be the same word spelled the same, but it's pronounced differently.
Yeah,
It's all because of the difference in the ha and the h. So I get that mixed up. Like for instance, pyramids is haram, yeah, haram. And then I said it the other day, and they're like, no, that means forbidden. I was like, what does that mean? And they're like haram or something. It means forbidden,
yeah,
or something. So, but there's like the pronunciations where I mix up.
yeah. But I guess you use the sound usually, right? In Spanish, I think
Yeah, but not as
it's
deep
different
as
a
you
bit.
guys.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a little different.
and
That's a
we
little
and
different.
we have two letters that I think only Arabs can pronounce. Vo and va.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
those are very weird. Like
Yeah, they were giving me the example of bait, beat, and bed or something. It's like this. It's like the same word, but it's three different things, and just how you pronounce it is different. But it's like the same word. So I'll learn it eventually.
eventually, hopefully, you can
Yeah,
introduce your students coming into the ring. I guess that's an easy thing?
Yeah, we'll see.
Anyway, speaking of your students, or you mentioned that you this project is your baby. I'm looking at it as you're sort of the godfather of wrestling in the region right now, because I think you mentioned a while back that you're heading to Saudi. I'm not sure if this is still on. Tell us about that deal, if you
So
can.
yeah, I was approached to go to Saudi Arabia. I was approached to go to Saudi Arabia as a branch to this company called QPW, which is in
Qatar.
Qatar.
Ali
So it would
Maarufi.
have been a sister company. Yeah, it would have been. Yeah, it would have been a sister company. Unfortunately, because of the COVID, that whole region got shut down. So there's now everything's up in the air, and we're not sure yet. But if everything goes well here, I might stay longer to finish up whatever I have to finish up here, and then eventually maybe go to Saudi because I think it was supposed to be in the city of Jeddah. Yeah, it was supposed to be in Jeddah. That was supposed to go to. So that's still a possibility, but it all depends on the whole COVID shutdown and everything, because that put a big red light on everything. It ruined so many plans. I was in talks to go to Korea, to South Korea, to teach over there. I was gonna do a tour Europe, but everything got canceled because of COVID. So and I know there's a lot of people that that have been struggling because this is our job. Wrestling is our only job.
Exactly.
So it was hard. So we eventually had to go get real jobs, and all sort of stuff. And so now that things are slowly kind of coming back, I'm hoping that the borders will open up again and we can start traveling and putting on shows for everybody, because I know we all miss it. I know people here miss entertainment. So they need something, and I know people need to be entertained from going. Otherwise, they go crazy.
Exactly. I've called you the godfather of wrestling in the region, but have your students told you about the single most legendary wrestler that came from Egypt?
Well, they told me about Ramses, but
No.
but they okay, like a pro wrestler.
He started as a catch wrestler and then moved to pro wrestling. He was mainly active in Europe, specifically I think Germany and Austria and France and these places. I think he
Yeah.
was active in the 70s and 80s. I'm going to tease
I don't
him,
think.
and your students have to tell you about him. So
Okay.
after because I think he was living in Switzerland or Austria, and then he moved back to Egypt in the 2000s. And he was the face of wrestling in TV and media because he had multiple shows, and he dubbed commentary on Raw shows in the early 2000s. And then he had his own wrestling channel, which he showed various things and various wrestling promotions and stuff. He passed away a few years ago. His name is Mamdur Farag. So ask your students, who is Mamdur? This guy was
Okay.
legendary. He was epic, like, and he was legit. He was a catch wrestler. He was legit. So next time you're training them, you finish, you have a break, ask them, who the hell is Mamdur?
Mamdur. Okay, I will.
I'll send you
Definitely
the
will.
name. I'll send you
Tomorrow.
the name.
Tomorrow. I'll ask him tomorrow. Yeah, so send me his name because I might forget tomorrow.
I'll send you the name, sure.
ريكاردو بيلعب مصارعة؟ ما اعرفش والله. ده المفروض ده المساعد والمايك بتاعه اللي هو البريزنتيان اللي بيقدم البرتو دريو. هياخده يلعب.
Okay. Just a few final questions and then so this is a gaming channel, so I'm obligated to ask you one gaming question.
Okay, you're gonna be disappointed.
It doesn't matter. I'm gonna ask. So, your favorite game growing up?
Growing up, probably anything FIFA, and still anything
Whoa.
FIFA.
Okay. You do know
Yeah,
FIFA's
although
the biggest game over here, right?
yeah, FIFA, and then probably Grand Theft Auto games.
Okay, so my fans
Those-
won't be
those-
disappointed. They'll actually love you more right now because you said FIFA.
Yeah. Yeah, FIFA. That's always because I mean I grew up. I'm Mexican. I grew up watching and playing soccer, football.
Yeah.
So yeah. So that was always my first love. Outside of wrestling. But yeah, that's all. Even now, like that's the only thing I really play. Like my phone has a bunch of like little like stupid like card games. And then soccer games and football games. That's it. Just football games. Football. And then Pokemon. I saw Pokemon in there.
You said you're going to disappoint me. How are you going to disappoint me with FIFA and Pokemon, man? I was preparing myself mentally to be disappointed, and you just... Anyway, this is a fun question for you. You've been enjoying your walks around the pyramid in Cairo. What would you say is the best song to listen to while you're on those... song or genre of music to listen to while you're on these walks around the pyramid?
Okay, so that's gonna be tough though, because I feel like everybody is similar, that they have different moods sometimes. So it depends on the mood. Like I like to listen to English music. I like my rock. I like my heavy metal when I'm working out. But then if I'm just out, but if I'm by myself, I listen to Spanish. That's my thing. I listen to Spanish.
Give
That's my
us the
first
name.
language.
I'm gonna listen to them and check them out.
Yeah. So like I like to listen to this guy named Alejandro Fernandez.
Okay.
He's a famous singer, like obviously Enrique Iglesias. Everybody knows him. Yeah. So, but the older stuff, the Spanish stuff. There's a lot of times I like to listen to opera or classical music. I like to listen to Indian music from when I lived in India. There's times I'll put on my little radio station here, and I just listen to whatever pops up. I have no idea what it says on because it's all Arabic.
Yeah,
but I mean, I listen to it.
Yeah, music is music. It's a language on its own.
Yeah, of course. So like I have different moods, and it all depends on that. I mean, at night I listen to just like sounds of rain, just to go to sleep. Because it's better. It's much better than the horns and the cars outside. So
this region and horns, it's a whole different story.
Yeah.
No time to start talking about this story. Okay, one final question. You are a part of an elite group of people who've sat on the Spanish announce table in the WWE. So what advice would you give to future people who are going to sit on that Spanish announce table when there's a wrestler flying towards the table?
Move. It's simple. Move.
That's simple.
Grab your stuff and move. Because if it's a pay-per-view, chances are they're going to break that table. So I've experienced many superstars going through that table, myself included once, actually. No, not the Spanish one. Not the Spanish one. I've gone through the English one many times, but never the Spanish one. I can't go after my own people, man.
That's great. So that's simple. That's the advice. Just move.
Move.
Okay, that's great. And would you agree, Spanish table, Hall of Fame?
Yeah, of course. Easily. Man, it's taken more beatings, and it has such a long lifespan. Why not just put it in?
Speaking of the Spanish announce table, who is the best Spanish announcer in your like historically in the WWE between the Spanish listeners and viewers?
Carlos Cabrera. Carlos is Hugo Savinovich. But I never got to work with Hugo directly. I mean, we worked together at the same time, but I never worked with him directly. But I mean, I worked with Carlos many times. So like, I am thankful for him because he helped me out a lot. He taught me so much. He would guide us through like the pay-per-views, and he would tell us when to talk, when to be quiet, when it was his turn, when it was my turn, when it was Marcelo's turn. So he was instrumental to that whole team.
That's great. So thank you, Mr. Rodriguez, not just for your time and interview, but for the work you're doing in Egypt and future work in the region you're doing, or anywhere else, Europe, Korea, India. And actually, thank you for the work you did in India. That did cause a boom, to be honest. So thank you very much for your time. And if there's anything else you want to add or say about your shows, upcoming shows, of course, for the listeners, I'm going to put on our social media where the shows are going to be once they're announced, and if you can view them online, obviously.
Yeah. Thank you. Well, first of all, thank you to you, and then to everybody that's going to be listening. You can follow me on Twitter at RRWE, on Instagram at the letter J_Rodriguez 818. You can also follow the PWO page, the Pro Wrestling Organization page, on Facebook and on Instagram and on Twitter. Like I said, we're hoping to have all the information and all the promotional stuff this coming week. And then once that happens, we'll have the Fight TV link and everything so that everybody can watch us throughout the world.
That's great. I'm going to leave all the links you mentioned in the description for anyone who wants to follow Mr. Rodriguez or PWO. Again, thank you very much, not just for this interview, but for the actual work you're doing and for the pyramid you're building in the region. It will echo for
ماشي.
years to come. Thank you
شكرا.
very much. Have fun.